Hello, everyone, and welcome to HRL IndyHog round number 8. We're at Lafayette GP. It's our one fantasy track in the schedule. This one created by Roman. Roman hasn't done much cheese with the Hogs, so he's having. I think this is his debut-ish. Yeah, I think he made something on Infinite, but obviously didn't get to race that. So, but yeah, I think so. As far as the H2A Hog stuff goes, pretty sure this is his first track. I want to say that we're racing. As far as that goes, so obviously he's made a lot of tracks for us, and we raced a lot of his tracks Halo 5 and other games in MCC as well. But yeah, getting the Hog debut for him here. There's a little preview of the track. Our third street track. It's a little weird because it's really a roval, but just the way the track types worked out. But let's go through the starting order. Right to left, it's going to be Luke, then Roman, Elite, Hunter, Vulcan, Detail, Soul, Slaunch, Matt, and Camby. And it's going to be a 15-lap race, but the checkpoints are weird. It's got the weird checkpoints where it won't count your checkpoint when you pit. So it's going to be 27 on the checkpoints. It is a 15-lap race, but it'll be 27 on the checkpoints. Heat winners in the front row, running them down, green flag. And remember, no pitting on the first 2 laps. Which is going to be, it's going to make these first 2 laps very important on this track, because you'll see these drivers learned it in the heat races. This track, I think there are ways to make up time on this track, but it is a very difficult track to pass at. There's a lot of areas where you can get a run on somebody, but the next section kind of helps them defend. So it's just kind of a hard track. Again, not entirely difficult to make up time, but that type of track makes it hard to make a pass stick, as you often have to make a pass in one turn, which is obviously difficult to do with the Hogs. Hogs being very long compared to the Mongoose, so, doing a complete pass in one turn, somebody has to, it can't just be a good run, it usually has to be the other person has to make a pretty big mistake or give some leeway on it. So yeah, this track, because of that, these first 2 laps, I think are going to be very important, and when the pits come in, they're going to be very important. And there you can see the pits right there, and you may notice the normal line of the track going to the right here, and then eventually going around the pits on the left. You may notice that it looks like a much shorter distance, and we'll see that when the pits come in. They actually are a shortcut. So that is something that makes this track unique compared to every other track in our IndyHog schedule. I don't think this will apply to any other track. Well, now that I think about it, the only ones that still need to be made for the most part are ovals. We're still waiting on Laguna Seca to be complete, but what we know from that track, I highly doubt the pits will be a shortcut there the way that one's lined up. So I don't think it'll be the case there. And yeah, so pretty sure this will be the only one, unless Roman's other track, Toronto, is the same case. I don't think it is. I'd have to double check that one. But yeah, I think that's something that makes this track unique. Obviously, all the other tracks, even if you do a fast pit, the pits are slower. It's always a slow way around. But on this one, it is different in that sense. You actually get a shortcut, and it's intense too. Vulcan, a little too deep on the inside, gonna get the roll on the dish, and the pits were still closed that lap, but the pits are gonna open now on this next lap. So pits are now open. We'll probably see some drivers come in early on here. So I'm trying to hold that 5th place position there. But yeah, it is you'll see it. It is a very intense shortcut. If you shoot one bullet or just a couple bullets, you get out. You get out, you make up time, you get way ahead. Now, if you do 23 bullets even, so the longest pit that you possibly can, right? A 23 bullet pit, I'm not kidding. I'm pretty sure it's still a gain. It's not as big of a gain. It's a slight gain, but as long as you don't make a mistake while doing it, I'm pretty confident it is still a gain, which is pretty insane. Even the longest pit possible is a shortcut. So the drivers are going to have to adjust to that. That's something that they're not used to. The pits are, again, they're always a long way around. You're always losing time. That's been the case the entire season. That's been the case with those tracks. That is not the case here. That is not the case here. And we have pits open, people coming in. Elite went in for a really quick one. Detail's going to go in. Vulcan is going to go in as well. And good examples right there. Elite was battling with Hunter, and now he takes a quick pit, and look at that. He's past Luke. He was behind Luke, in front of Hunter. Now he's absolutely gapped Hunter and has taken the lead from Luke as well. So if you didn't believe me, There you can see a very clear example that I'm not kidding. It is a shortcut pit, and it's pretty insane. Detail with an example here too, as he was behind Slaunch. Well, now you can see that he's not only in front of Slaunch, but he also took a position from Roman there on his pit as well. So I'm not sure where Vulcan came out on his. He must have gained some time too, I would imagine. I was hard to, yeah, actually, I don't know. Maybe he didn't have as quick of a pit. I don't know. Maybe he's a little bit further back than I thought he was. But either way, you can tell the pits are absolutely a shortcut. I am not cheesing you. It is an intense shortcut, and especially on these early pits. Vulcan with the contact. Wow, the rejoin, double rejoin action. Hunter and Detail close on that rejoin, and then I think it was Luke and Roman close on the other one too. Very close, and that's another factor. And Vulcan, we saw Vulcan as well. That was definitely going to hurt him. He was, again, like, you got to be careful with the pit boxes. I think the person in front of him, I think they were pitting like not too far in front of Vulcan, so they're getting ready to go into their box, and Vulcan was, not really, like, he got out of his hog, and I don't think he was trying too hard. Oh, wait, did we have a flip here? Was that Roman? Let's see what happened here. But yeah, he got out of his box, and I don't think he was trying too hard to get back in it. Ends up getting hit. That's going to cost him some time as well. All right, so let's see what happened here. Quick replay. Oh, wait, I did it wrong. I had it set up already. Okay, yeah. So Roman here. So Roman in front of Luke, and you can already tell he's already, this is pretty early on. He's already gone right there. He's already clearly two wheels up, and he's just going. He's going. He's going. He's going. He gone. He gone. So Roman goes over there, and potentially Detail going to take advantage. Let's see. Yep. Gonna slide on by, get in front of Roman, take that spot as well. So that was a pretty brutal crash for Roman. He was in the midst of a battle with Luke, and now he ends up, cheesing himself out of that and even, like, loses a position there. So that was a pretty rough crash. Luke goes in for his first pit. That's a pretty quick one. And Hunter, I think Hunter's second right there. And so, yeah, again, Luke with the lead off the start, and like 3 people pit, got in front of him, and then now look, hits his pit, and again, to be fair, it was a quick pit. I think it might have even been a literal 1-bullet pit, and look at that. Now just, like, super gapped in the lead. So again, the illustrations here, we're getting some great ones. It is, it's pretty crazy, and that is something that I do respect about this track. It was, generally would like the pits to be the normal way, but it was kind of fun to, especially having this be the only, like, fantasy track in the schedule, to have something a little bit different like that. Have the pits function a little bit different than we're used to. Just another thing to switch it up, keep the drivers on their toes. Keep this this night unique. Just another thing there. So yeah, it's kind of cool. And it's super important too, because the pits are the name of the game on this track. Like, again, don't get me wrong, you can gain time on this track, absolutely. But this is one of those tracks, like, right, there are tracks where you can gain time on and you can really make passes. And then there are some tracks where you can make up a lot of time and, like, really have speed on somebody, but making that pass is, like, brutally difficult. And this is definitely one of those. And then on top of that, I don't think it's, like, the craziest time. Like, you can make up time. I don't think it's the craziest, like, time gainer skill gap track either. It's probably, like, in the intermediate range somewhere. So, like, that combination of it being hard to pass, and then, that being the case with the time as well, naturally, your mind will go to the pits. The pits are going to be super important, and I think the timing on those are going to be huge. And I think I got caught with, like, a wreck or something earlier. I was going to mention it, and I didn't get to finish my point. That re-entry. So you can see over there, that exit on the normal line, that exit that takes you into the road course section of the track, excuse me, it's very tight, it's very narrow. And especially when you're coming from your pit, as you can see right there, it is a very narrow re-entry, and it's really difficult too, because the drivers coming from their pits, they have if they line it up properly, they have, like, a bit of a straight shot, right? Whereas the drivers running their normal line, it's even slower. It's another thing that adds on to why the pits are a shortcut. The drivers running their normal line, they're taking the oval turn as if they're going to go, like, backwards into the pits, and then they have to make a weird, like, off-camber, like, right-hander into the road course section of the track. Like, it's a very odd, very, very rare turn to see, that type of turn, you know? That's a very unique one. And yeah, the drivers running the normal line are going to lose a ton of time right there. They're going to try not to make contact, especially if they're racing side by side. Whereas the drivers coming out of the pits, they can line it up, they can have a straight shot, and they can gain so much time, and they can run that momentum all the way down that following straightaway. But again, the drivers running the normal line, they can't do that. They can't do that. Obviously, they have that hard right-hander, so they're going to be slow. So that pit exit is so important, because if the drivers running the normal line are able to get in front of the people exiting the pits, they can obviously block the line, slow them down a ton, and that can ruin a lot of the shortcut, a lot of the time that you gain off of doing your pit. So timing that pit to where, again, like, I think the most important thing is that you don't have traffic like immediately on your exit. I think that's the most important thing. Like, if you have traffic a little bit after the exit, that's not too terrible on this track. But if you have traffic right on that exit, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it's like a second or maybe even like a second and a half worth of time lost if you get blocked there. So very important aspect of this one. What's this pit here? Okay, so it must have been Hunter's first. This is earlier. This is his second here. Oh, and another weird thing about the pit road too, as you can see, I just haven't mentioned it yet, as Hunter rejoins right into the pack. The split lines, right? It's split pit road. So that's one thing. And then also the fact that one side of the pit is huge pit boxes, right? Huge pit boxes. You could tell that one side of the pit, it was like our left from this perspective. Way bigger pit boxes, way easier to make it into your pit box. Kind of nice in the penalties, right? Like, probably easier to avoid the penalties there. The other side, a lot tighter pit boxes. So just another weird, peculiar thing that just makes this track unique, I guess. As we're getting pretty close to the end of this race as well. Closing in on the final laps. With the checkpoints being weird, you can see as I look at the scoreboard here that Sol and Camby still have 2 pits to do, I believe. Luke and Elite still have 1. So that is the nice thing about the checkpoints being set up this way, and that's why I almost prefer it in a way. It's nice to be able to check the scoreboard and be able to see like what the pit situation is. And the fact that you miss the checkpoint anyways means that you can still, you know, like, you shouldn't like get confused and like go too late unless you like make a really big mistake. So yeah, even though we do it the other way generally, I really don't mind, you know, not to, because I don't want to like roast Roman for it or anything. I really don't mind this way of doing the checkpoints. Not that we're going to switch it up for the rest of the season, but it is kind of nice, especially from a spectating standpoint, to be able to check the scoreboard and be able to, you know, get that update on the point of the race if I missed some pits from people, and just being able to quickly, you know, readily see like, oh, these people still have a pit, these people still have 2, these people are done. It's kind of nice to see. And speaking of which, there are 3 drivers that still need to take their pit, and that's Luke right there. Going to be a pretty long pit, as his first one was a single bullet pit, so longest or shortest first rather, and then longest pit possible for him on his strategy this race. We have 2 more drivers that need to complete their pits. Sol is one of them, and you can see Sol going in there as Elite and Slaunch duking it out again. And then Camby, oh, he's just barely off screen, but Camby was the other one too. So they're all done. They're all done. It'll work out with the checkpoints now. Everybody, I believe, is done. So pits are complete. The pits are going to close in a lap or 2, but that doesn't matter. Everybody's already done, and we're closing in on the end of the race. So let's get an update now that we have a nice look of the field. So this is Luke in the lead right here, and as you can see on this track, that pole position, big advantage. The way this track plays out, very big advantage, that pole position here. Elite is second, and look how crazy the pack is. Elite is second, Slaunch is third, Details fourth, Battle for 5th right now. Roman trying to have a look on Hunter. Hunter trying to hold on to that. So it's Hunter, then Roman, then Vulcan, then Sol, then Camby. And again, look at this. Like, it almost looks like an oval race, funnily enough, being on the Roval. Like, the big checkout for the lead, but then the rest of the pack, it almost just looks like an oval race. Everybody's so tightly matched here. As we go into 3 laps to go. So 3 laps to go, and the battle is on. Again, no pits remaining. It's all going to be on track. 3 laps. These guys have to make the moves happen on track if they want to pick up some positions. And I don't think we're going to see the end of it. Slaunch has had many opportunities to try to make a move on Elite. He hasn't made it stick yet, but he keeps getting there. I think he'll probably get there again. Detail is not too far off. Hunter is honestly not that far off either, but he's also got a bunch of hungry drivers behind him. Don't think we're done yet in this race. But we will be coming to 2 to go this time by, so time is running out. I will say, though, this track, like the scenery and the way it works out is pretty sweet too. There's some good, if only Cooper here tonight, there's some pretty good, some pretty cool like screenshot opportunities on this one. It was Vulcan again. It was Vulcan again, just trying to find a little too much on that inside. And that's the funny thing about those like track cut berms there on the inside, is that they kind of just naturally police. Like if you go a little too far inside than you should, they kind of just flip you over. And Vulcan's had the bad end of the stick of that twice. And you see Slaunch just forcing Detail out as wide as possible. Detail trying to find the challenge, but Slaunch knowing how hard it is to pass on this track, and he's just trying to make this pass as brutal as he possibly can, because he knows how difficult it is, and he knows that if Detail gets by, it's going to be really hard for him to make the pass back, because, you know, Slaunch has been trying to get by Elite the entire race and just hasn't really been able to do it. Roman almost going for a tumble again, but he saves it, but that might cost him the spot on Soul. It does. So good on Roman. At least he saved it that time, but, you know, another rough run there. Cost him another spot. White flag, last lap for Luke. Hasn't taken a win since Indy, but looking like he's on for another Moto win here. But who is going to be the second and third place finisher? A big run. Elite gets a little too wide on the last lap, and it might cost him. Slaunch with big momentum. Oh, the rockage, and Slaunch makes it happen. He makes the pass on the last lap. Unbelievable. Now can he hold on to it, as there's only about half the track remaining? Detail now maybe not able to attack Elite. He's got Hunter really close behind him. Soul has got Roman to worry about. Race definitely not over for these spots. Matt coming in hot with the lap traffic action. We'll see if he plays a role in this. Slaunch trying to hold on to this second still, and he's got a good gap. I think he's probably going to have it. But what about this third place spot? Detail getting away from Hunter a little bit. Not too far off of Elite. Can he make some magic happen here? Maybe. Luke's going to take the win. Anybody find something in the final sector? I don't think so. Slaunch is going to take second. Elite third. Detail fourth. Hunter fifth. Soul sixth. Roman seventh. Camby eighth. Vulcan ninth. And Matt 10th in Moto 1. Yeah, that was yeah, that's kind of how I expected it to go. I mean, we could see it there at the end. Very, very difficult to make those passes, and when you have the opportunity, you just got to be super aggressive on this track, because they're just hard to make. Like if you don't do it, you're just probably not going to complete the pass. So that's just kind of what you have to do. But either way, we'll go into the Moto 2 here in a moment, but one more time for Moto 1. Luke, then Slaunch, then Elite for the podium. Detail and Hunter rounding out the top 5, then Soul, Roman, Camby, Vulcan, and Matt for the field. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let's get that Moto 2 queued up for Lafayette.